Good morning. So I'm up, I'm partially ready. Might film a workout in the gym for you guys today, but I have not decided because one, I look something else when I exercise, and two, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. So I'll either insert a previous or an old clip that I did last week of my leg day, or I will attempt to film my upper body days. The reason why I say it is because my upper body is just something else. But I will see what happens. Yeah, so today we're just going to be doing some editing because I need to catch up with that. And we're pretty much having a chill-ish day because I've got work tomorrow morning at 6, and then on Sunday at 6, and then Monday too. Not that that's really any different from anybody else, but that's the schedule and that's what's going on. And I need to start reading on like my dissertation because but yes, so I'm gonna get ready and then we are going to go to the gym. So I will see you in a second. Okay, we're back. That was probably the worst transition ever and I hate myself. Almost cut then. So look a little bit more presentable today, not gonna lie. This has been a challenge, but I just wanted to, I guess, talk about today, talk more about, just kind of briefly about I say briefly, it's gonna be about a good hour.
4 hours.
But I just wanted to talk briefly about kind of how I used to train and how I train now and how it's adapted over the years, and kind of the patterns that I got into during my eating disorder, or in the midst of it, in the most crucial part, or in the most in the worst parts of my eating disorder, shall we say, that took a while to come out, and how I've sort of changed that and how I've adapted my life more than anything to my training. So let's start at the beginning. So like, before my eating disorder, I've always been into sport. Like, I've loved it. It's just, I've been doing it literally since mother gave birth, and I've loved it. My main sport used to be football. And then I joined a netball team, and I was in the teams at school. Like any sport, you name it, I'd be game for. And that is what my childhood was like, playing out sport and all that, and I loved it, and it was my thing, and I wish I did more with that, to be honest. And when I developed my eating disorder, it became more to do with obviously exercising for the bad things. Like there was a reason why I was exercising, whereas before it would just be like, oh, it's just enjoyment, I just did it because I wanted to. Nothing out of the ordinary, just part of my everyday routine. Thought nothing of it, ate what I wanted, as you do as a kid, whatever. Would eat like 4 cookies going down the road home, like anything, you name it. And then when I started developing my eating disorder, I actually wasn't allowed to do PE at school for a bit because I wasn't eating my lunches, so they stopped me from exercising. And literally when I'd you get people in PE that just don't really want to be there, they're just like ill about, and that was not me. I was like fully into it. I was like trying to get the most out of that time that we had, so just going full pelt, getting sweaty as anything, even if it was in the middle of the day. Like I didn't care, I just wanted to like sweat and burn calories, and that's sort of what I was doing it for. Wasn't eating, so like everything that I was doing, I was just feeling tired and depleted. And so in school, it wasn't so much I had like a set thing I needed to do. It was more so making time, like making use of that time, and more so restricting eating and then carrying on with like whatever I was doing in school, and that sort of being it. And then it wasn't until I'd probably say maybe college time was where I was getting more like, okay, I have to achieve this many steps, or I have to walk this distance every day if I'm not doing anything else, because I need to burn calories from my lunch that I've just eaten. I would get like I had the same lunch every day pretty much. I would take, it sounds so silly, it would be like, so for the mornings I would have like one of the little Special K, I think it was the dark chocolate and raspberry bar, and with one of them options hot chocolates, not very healthy at all and not enough at all. And then for lunch I would have them small little sushi packs, like the 4-pack, and if I didn't have that, so that would be like a treat, which is awful. Or I would have a packet of Skips with, you know, the Warburton's thin bread. I think I had like half of one of those, and that was my lunch. And I thought that was enough. And I did PE or like sport as a BTEC in college, and so I was doing exercise as well as walking the distances. Even if this is when I was like missing lessons, I wanted to go home because I was tired. I didn't enjoy college, I didn't enjoy what I was doing because I couldn't concentrate. And I was still playing football as part of my local team as well as in college, but my performance was not up to scratch. Like, even though I'd always give it my best, like looking back, it probably wasn't that great. And then this is when I started sort of getting into my running, and I would run. I wore Air Max trainers running, the worst running shoe ever, but I would do that religiously every day, the same route, take me around the same time, and I would just constantly run. And I'd do it either really early in the morning so no one would know I was gone. My dad used to go to work in the mornings at about 6 a.m, and so I'd either get up before then or I'd go just after he'd left, so no one would really notice, although probably everyone did. And then when I got home, this must have like annoyed my parents so much, or even my mum, because they were all sleeping and stuff. And I would literally, as soon as I got home from my run, I wouldn't sit down for the whole day. I would start hoovering in the morning. All know how that would work out. I started hoovering in the morning, doing the housework, making sure that I was always doing something, constantly moving or doing just anything. And then I also had this set routine. It was like 10 exercises, and I do 1,000 reps of each. I'm not talking like a proper form or anything. Like, say my squats are like it was like more like a pulse, but I had to do 1,000 reps of each exercise, and I had to do that quite sneakily actually, because I'd have to do it in the morning as soon as I got up, and then in the afternoon as well. So not ideal, and I was exhausted. Like I had to do it. Like it wasn't the case of I couldn't. Like I had to do it, and I'd do that before college, and then I'd do it when I got home before anyone was back, and then I'd go for a run or whatever order. And then I was also walking around at college and stuff, and I had to walk to the shop, Tesco's, which was probably about a 20-minute walk there. So about a 40-minute all-round trip, just to walk there and back, because that's what I had to do to burn off my skips and my piece of bread. And shocking, I know, like it's awful. And then yes, I really started getting into my running, and I think that's where I started to really lose the weight. And like I used to go to the gym if I could, and I'd actually go when I was in college, because mum wouldn't know, and so I'd literally just run on the treadmill for about 40-45 minutes, and then I'd do like an ab routine, and that was my routine. Like every time that I'd go to the gym, I'd do that, and that was not ideal. And I'd normally go there if it was really cold outside, because I could not brace the cold. I remember there was one time where we had to do an assessment for PE, and we had to do swimming, and we literally had to do like 2 lengths, and I could barely do it, and I felt so dizzy and so ill. After I finished, I had to go home. So it wasn't a great time for me. College was not a good time for me. I really didn't do very well. My grades and that was awful. Attendance was awful. I actually crashed my car into a pole, and I probably shouldn't have been driving, because I was leaving the car park because I was like going home. I was like, I'm not going to my lessons, and I crashed into a pole. But that like purely comes down to concentration and the fact that I just was not with it at all in the slightest. So anyway, yeah, running was like definitely my thing, and I would do that religiously every day. And you'd always, like I said, I'd always try and do it on the sly, but then people would sort of catch me out, sort of thing, and it was just like, oh god. And it was just unbelievable. Like I remember there was one time when it was raining outside, and then my dad saw me running. He was just like, oh, do you want me to take you home because it's raining? I was like, okay, yeah, cool. And then I actually went back out again because he went out. So like, because I hadn't finished that route, I had to do it again, and it was just not good. And that was sort of my thing. I was just fixated on doing that. And then I went into hospital for a couple of weeks, and I'll talk about that in a different video. The reason why it was only a couple of weeks was because I was turning 18, and then that's the age where you're considered or classed as an adult, so you can't get into the health services as, you know, as quickly. And so I was only in there for a couple of weeks before my birthday, and every night I was doing exercise, and they weren't even aware. Like I'd be in my bathroom taking a shower, and I'd be doing that exercise routine that I was doing at home every night. And that's probably why I didn't see much of a fluctuation in my weight when I was there, which, well, it's not surprising. Like, and maybe 2 weeks wasn't long enough essentially for my body to respond to that sort of treatment. Granted I did put on some weight, but not enough. And I actually, when I got out of hospital, I actually got to my lowest after. And like I said, I'll probably talk about that in a separate video, because that's a whole other issue that probably should be addressed, or probably actually needs to be addressed, to be honest, because there was not much support there whatsoever. Anyway, so after that, I like sort of kicked into gear, and I was just like, I wasn't actually allowed to go. I had to defer my place from uni for a year, because I wasn't well enough to go, which sucked. Another thing as well, when I went on holiday, I wasn't actually allowed to go on holiday, but I went because I was just not a very nice person. And I'll talk about that in a separate video, because that's another issue. But as we go on to how I train now and things, so yeah, after that I was like, okay, I want to go into the gym, and this is where I need to like gear my focus. And I sort of put myself in the routine of like go to the gym and then have my protein shake after. And although yes, it was still a set routine, it still allowed me to like get more food in, if that makes sense. And I just followed that and see how I went. And I was incorporating more weights, definitely, not heavy, but like a bit more, just so I was getting used to it and feeling like I was doing something else and growing a little bit. But I was still fixated on the cardio element. I had to do my cardio. That was the first thing I had to do, because if I didn't do it, calories and all that thing, which when you learn the science, you know, doesn't really make sense. But obviously at that time it wasn't about that. And then at uni, my first year, I was still sort of fixated on the cardiovascular element, and I'd always be on the stepper, but not the one that's like a escalator, the one that sort of just you sort of bounce between, if that makes sense. And so I was on that about 30-45 minutes again, but I was eating more. The volume of my food was bigger, which was good. So even though I wasn't necessarily eating more regularly, my volume increased. So that was something. And I wasn't really the typical uni student, like going out and stuff. Alcohol was a huge fear for me. And if you want to hear sort of more about that might be something interesting to talk about in another video, because about sort of like them sort of fears and like what I was scared of and what was out of my routine. So if you want to see a video on that, give it a thumbs up or comment below, and I will, I guess, talk about that a little bit more. Yeah, so in my second year I definitely started lifting a lot more weights. I was going to the gym with people. I did a fitness and personal training course for my bachelor's, and I was obviously going to the gym with other people that had different routines, and it was quite nice because I was lifting heavier weights, and I sort of incorporated that a lot more into my sessions. And I started doing it where I would split my routines so that I wasn't always focused on cardio and I was going into more weight training. I also changed from my my cardiovascular type, so like I'd do more HIIT training, so more plyometric movements, more sprints, things like that, and that changed the game a lot for me, because I was, you know, I was still working hard, but it was less time, and I guess I still had that cardiovascular element, so I did feel like I was doing something, but it wasn't to the extent of what I was doing before. Having said that, I did get fixated on that for a bit, and I was doing that religiously, like every day, and HIIT is intense, like it says in the name, like, and doing that every day is not the best idea, but obviously I was too fixated on it. And then it wasn't until my third year where I sort of really sort of changed my priorities, and it wasn't such a consuming thing in my life as much as it was before. Like things over prioritized, so like if I had work, uni work and things like that, so like if I couldn't go to the gym, I couldn't go to the gym, and that was that. And that, like, some days it would be really stressful and hard, but then it allowed me to like see that, okay, I don't need to go to the gym every day for that to sort of, for anything bad to happen. It wasn't so much the case of, I pretty much go to the gym every single day now, but like if I want to miss a day I can, or like, it's not so much for me now, it's more of like a mental release, and it's my free time, and that's what I want to do with it. But obviously back then it was a whole different ball game, and I'm still learning that now. I feel like it's not something that definitely just goes away, and I do believe that I will live with this for the rest of my life, but it's more about the control of it, and yeah, how much you let that sort of take over your life. There are bad days and there are very good days, but like more good than bad, I'd say. But yeah, so then after that, what did I do? I worked for a year, and I was like, again, not so fixated on it, or I was more relaxed in that sense. And then I started, like, I guess branching out a little bit more, like in terms of what I was training for. Like I did my first half marathon, and that was a great achievement, because obviously running had always been such a hindrance to me in terms of like the health side, and to see that it could be turned into something positive was a great feeling, and feeling that I could actually do it and I was fit enough to do it was great. And to be able to like have that back in my life was really amazing. And so that was sort of when I guess that was like, yeah, okay, this is great. And then so I did a couple of half marathons, and then I recently, actually last year, August last year, I did my first ever triathlon in France, and I think that was definitely a pinnacle moment in my life, or in this journey, because although I do believe I could have trained a lot better, and I feel like I do still restrict in terms of my diet and how much exercise I was doing, 100%. Like, I feel like I definitely hindered myself because I wasn't eating enough, but I wasn't starving myself. Like, it's one of these things that's always going to be a challenge for me, but I feel like that's something that I can definitely learn from, and I need to learn from, because I sometimes I wonder how I do get through the day sometimes with the little amount that I do consume sometimes. And we all get those days, but like in terms of that performance wise, like, yeah, I was definitely not eating enough, and it's something that I am learning. And you do learn, and you know, it's better to realise them things as opposed to not, because before I wasn't realising anything that I was doing wrong, like, other than I wasn't doing enough, which is ridiculous. But yeah, anyway, regardless, like, it was such a moment of, like, my mum was like, she was like, oh, you like almost made me cry like twice, or I think she did cry, and I was like emotional to it. I think it was very such a, almost like not I made it point, but I guess in a way it was sort of like I've done it, and I can do anything that I want, and I think that's the message. You can do anything that you set your mind to, and it changes so much, like, more than you realise. And it doesn't have to be, you have to make these drastic changes, because you need to do it slowly, because this has taken years. I'm talking like 10 years of this, and it does get better. And the way I train now is so much more relaxed in terms of, well, I sort of just train how I want to train. Yes, I go in like with a sort of like plan, like I'll write down like a routine on my phone, even if it's like 10 minutes before I go, then I can go in, get it done, and that's sort of it. Whereas the other days I'll go in and just do what I want to do. I haven't really set myself a goal in terms of like my performance. I think the only things that I'd like to improve upon is my flexibility, because shocking. But other than that, like, I feel like sometimes it's okay not to have a goal, because especially with an eating disorder, it's like if you don't hit that goal by that certain time, you feel like you failed, but really it's not a failure at all. It's just the fact that you're not there yet. You're still there, you're still getting there, you're just not there yet, and that's okay. But I think it's hard for people. I'm very much, if I don't hit, I'm very scared of failure, and if I set myself such unattainable goals sometimes, or unrealistic goals, and try to achieve them, and I guess that's just who I am as a person, and that will never change. But it's frustrating when it doesn't happen. But I think sometimes you just gotta, this is like part of life, and this is the thing that I want to, like, I guess, get across, is that this is part of your life, this is your lifestyle, and you have to do what makes you happy. Like, for me, seeing my performance improve, enjoying what I do now, like, it's such a great feeling. Granted, not every session's like that, but most of the time I'm pretty happy with what I do. So now, like I said, in terms of my, I've gone on a massive tangent, I'm so sorry. In terms of how I train now, so I'm more like I said, more HIIT training, more plyometric movements, more weights, definitely more weights. And I tend to split my cardio from my weight session. So like, I'll do cardios on rest days, or cardio on like a separate day, paired with like abs or something, and then I'll do like my lifting sessions, and I'll probably focus on those. I'm trying to work on my upper body at the moment because it's shocking, and I need to stretch more because I'm all over the shop, but I have such more freedom with how I train and what I do, and I can try new things. And like I said, like the triathlon, I think actually quite surprisingly was that with the only thing that I didn't like about the triathlon aesthetically, and I know that's like, well, no, well, it's part of it, I guess. It's quite ironic because yeah, the only thing that I didn't actually enjoy about the process of the triathlon was that I did lose, well, obviously this is to do with like the amount that I wasn't consuming too, like the amount of I guess muscle that I lost, as well as like I was just flat, like, and there was just like, it just felt like this sort of like, just, it just did not I didn't feel like good. I didn't feel like, yes, this is the body that I'm enjoying right now. Like, I didn't, like, I think that's part of what weight training is, what on earth, I think that's part of like what weight training has given me, is that like I feel like more of a woman now that I've built up some strength and built up some tone, like, and just feel a lot more confident in myself. Still a lot of flaws that I feel like I have, but like, who doesn't, like, you know, self-criticize? We all do it, we're human. But that was the one thing that I didn't really enjoy, and then I've sort of loved seeing the process of like after that and how I've progressed. Obviously if I did do my diet better for my triathlon, results may have been a bit different, but I like having a bum. I do. I like having a bit of shape, and it's great to say that, because before you just don't see that. I just saw, I don't know what I saw. I was just not happy. I felt fat. I felt just really not okay. And then when I look at it now, I was just gone. I was so gone. I was like a ghost walking through life. And that's the scariest thing, is that you don't realise the extent of it until you look back and until you sort of observe that. And so for me now, I would never want to ever go back to being that way. And I know a lot of people are like, well, why would you? But it's not, it's such a difficult thing to understand and also describe. And until it is one of them cases, until you've gone through it, you can't really relate. Even if someone's seen you go through it, it's not the same. But just as hard on other people that love you and that surround you. And I think for me, something else that sort of comes with always having exercise in my life is that people's understanding of why I do what I do, and when I go to the gym, why I'm going. Because I feel like when you have the eating disorder, people just assume that that's going to carry on throughout the rest of your life, and that has to be the main reason why you're going to the gym or why you're doing exercises, because it has to be related to your eating disorder. Not at all. This is such a mental benefit for me personally, and I feel like if I didn't go, I don't know what I'd do. Like, and I think obviously being part of a team as well, like, it's just fun, you laugh, and that's something that I hadn't felt in so long, and you feel happy and you don't feel nothing, if that makes sense. So yeah, like, I've definitely gone on a ramble and like haven't really answered or like talked about what I was supposed to be talking about. But basically what I'm saying is that my shift in my exercise routine now has changed like tremendously, and granted I'm still learning along the way, and I do things wrong. Like, I will hold my hands up to that, no doubt, but like, I'm so much more happier now than I was before. If we're just talking about this, because other things are just stress, but I just want to get that message across and like try and help as many people as we can to sort of teach that. And like I said, like, I'm not the expert, so you know, not what I say is what goes, but like, I feel like you can't expect someone to never exercise again in their life or never do something physically active, and I feel like it's just left alone, that part, and no one's ever really addressed it because of the fear of something going wrong. But in reality, if people don't know how to do it in a safe way, then it's going to go wrong, like, or you know, you never know if you don't try it, like, sort of thing. So what I'm trying to do is hear other people's stories, hear other people's thoughts. And granted, not everyone who's got an eating disorder uses exercise as a way of losing weight, not at all. Like, there's so many other things, like laxative abuse, just feeling too tired to even do anything. Like, there's just so many different, there's not just one size fits all in this case, and that's obviously one of the other challenges, but also for me it gives people something, or just finding their love again for whatever they do, their passion, and letting that override the eating disorder, and just finding that spark again, still finding mine, but better. And yeah, I just want to hopefully encourage that more and make people feel like there is like hope for that, and that it can be achieved. And it would actually be so great to like have it where if it grows enough, like come around and see everyone, or see you guys, hear your stories, and let's try and find your thing, or your thing that makes you happy, so exercise that you enjoy, something that's going to make you feel like, okay, I can actually do this, and it not be overridden by my eating disorder. Even if it's just a gradual process, it takes time, and that's fine. You have time, you have all the time in the world. Let's just not waste time anymore on being in that state and being unhappy. So like I said, almost been about 30 minutes. I apologise, but I just wanted to, yeah, like I said, but I hope you've sort of seen my transition between how I used to train and how I train now. But if you didn't, I will do another video and be a bit more to the point. But as of now, that is it, and I will speak to you guys next week, I think, but I'll probably catch up with you in the week. My Instagram is below, and I tend to do tragic stories on, well, Instagram story is what it is. So if you want to see how tragic my life is, give me a follow, and you can come along for the ride. And yeah, hopefully we get something going. But yeah, I appreciate every single one of you for watching, and it means the world to me, and I hope that we can help others benefit all together and get this nice little community going. But I have to go because I actually have to go to work soon, so that's not enjoyable. But I will speak to you soon. Bye.